Well, it seems like it's about that time. I'm a good bit overdue. Been wanting to make this video for a while, but I'm a little busy. So I haven't had the time to devote to it that I've wanted to. But because one of my buddies decided to make a funny little video, I felt like I needed to give him some more material to make fun of me for. So here we are. And I'll make sure to leave the description of his little video in the bottom, right down there, because it's my new favorite thing. Not what's on Mike's mind, but the little ditty that goes with it. But you know, it could be what is on my mind, because that's what this video is going to be about. If I remember correctly, it all started one fine fateful Monday night. Me and a couple of my friends had decided that we were going to try and get a band started. Had a bandmate from a band I used to play in. He decided to tag along, and he was going to meet us at Buffalo Wild Wings, where my other friend and I had just gotten off work, and we were going to meet him over there, and we were going to talk to this fella that worked there that we knew he played drums. Heard through the grapevine that he played drums. I don't think we ever actually got an answer out of him on whether he'd want to do anything. So we continued on, and my friend and I, we got off work and rode together. Drove up to Buffalo Wild Wings, parked, and began to walk inside. Now once we got inside, we just surveyed the area, tried to find our little compadre who played guitar. Once we had located him, he had this frightful fear in his eyes, and like a scared little puppy dog. So we went over to the table that he was sitting at, and immediately he leans over and says, "Thank God you guys are here." So of course, not knowing what had happened before then, since we had just arrived, we're sitting here laughing, and the facial expressions and everything. We're like, "What's going on, man? What are you talking about?" He has this white haze over his eyes. You can smell the fear on him. He begins to explain how there's this older woman sitting right behind him that has just been all up in his business, won't leave him alone. Now there's one thing I need to explain before we get into the eloquence of this fateful situation. At the time, I was a salesman. So pretty much what that means is I was used to talking to people I don't know, and I was very chipper and had tendencies to seem like I cared what the person was talking about when I actually didn't. Because, salesman mentality, they're the spawn of hell. Not to mention, I was a salesman for a home improvement store. I sold doors and windows. So, that good old southern drawl just reels them right in. I'm very sad to say. So right as soon as he expresses his concern about why we were taking so long and how we left him there by himself, and finally we show up and yay, the three amigos, let's try and get this band thing rolling, let's find this waiter. So we start surveying the premise to try and find this guy. Luckily he just happened to be our waiter, so good job, team. Way to go. Just as soon as we thought that everything was right in the world was when she decided to speak to us. So as I'm sitting in this booth, I have my back to this woman. My legs are propped up on a stool. I'm facing my friends that are sitting across from me. The bar is back this way. There's no reason for me to look behind me to see what I should have caught and been prepared for. I'm enjoying myself, and all of a sudden I feel this hand on my thigh. So I look back, and there's this older woman. She looks to me and says, "Oh, it's so nice to see all you boys gathering here today." Then, of course, my inner salesman kicks in, and I can't control my thoughts and expressions. Oh, we just decided to come out and have a good time, hang out with some friends, and there's a guy here that we want to talk to about something. "Oh, what do you want to talk to him about?" Oh, we're really big into music, so we wanted to talk to him about that. Well, I hope you boys have a good night. I've been here for a while, and I'm about getting ready to leave. Okay, well, you have a good night too. So at this point, I thought the damage was done, but that's when my friend decided to inform me that I had made a terrible error in decision by engaging in conversation. So, but still, in my mind, I'm thinking no harm, no foul, just, being as nice as I can to strangers, and our waiter decides to come over and actually serve us, and I'm excited, to try and get this band rolling. So, of course, he dives into asking us what we want to eat or drink, and we place our orders, and we pop up and ask him if he knows so-and-so or so-and-so's brother, sister's cousin, or some shit I don't even remember. And that opens the playing floor for trying to discuss music and try and get the ball rolling with talking him into playing drums for it. Then I feel a hand on my back, and this woman decides to stand up and join in our conversation. Oh, so you boys like music? Our waiter, trips off, starts talking to her to try and, earn that tip. Yeah, I used to play drums for a couple of different bands, and he passes off with his bit, and we all start talking music, and immediately she chimes in with one breath. I have a nice little guitar. It's blue or some kind of turquoise. I'm not sure what color. I know I got it from my grandfather. Have you met my daughter Marlena? She's really sweet. I think you'd be perfect together. And of course, our bartender is like, no, I don't believe I've met your daughter Marlena, but I've got to get back to work, so you guys just enjoy yourselves. And he splits. Then, a little bit of time passes. We're just conversing amongst ourselves, telling jokes and talking about music, and completely forgot that she was even part of our little existence. I felt the rubbing on my thigh again. So, to my error, I decide to look back and engage in conversation. She stands up and in her drunken stupor looks at her watch and begins to talk to me. Where else could I go at 11 o'clock at night? So, just being the good old boy that I am, I just spouted off the first thing that popped into my head. Whataburger. Go get you a nice hamburger, have a good old time. So she grabs the bowl of chips on her table and shakes it in my face. I just finished eating. I don't want to eat again. Where can I go to have some fun at 11 o'clock at night? So at this point, I'm getting just a little worried about where this conversation's going. So I spout off the first thing that pops in my head. Well, you could go on down to the Lucky Mule. I went and watched a concert there a couple weeks ago, and the drinks weren't too expensive. Well, I don't think I've ever heard of that place. Have you ever been to Cherry's? It's really nice. I think you'd have a lot of fun there. You should come sometime. Now, to explain, Cherry's is an old biker bar, real run down. Bunch of ruffians and elderly like to frequent there, and for someone of my stature, pansy, it's not exactly the right place to just go hang out. So, of course, I tell her that I've never been there, and, just try to carry the conversation somewhere else, and she interrupts. Well, where's that place that you were talking about? So I explain where it's located, and that carries on to the next sequence of events. Well, that'd be good, because that's not too far from my house, and the cops here are always trying to take me to jail. So, since I've had a few run-ins with the boys in blue in my day, something I'll have to touch on in my next story, because I have several run-ins with the police, and it's not very fun. Of course, most of the time it's just for me doing something completely stupid, like nearly getting arrested for robbing Kmart. That's not at all what happened. I'll have to explain later. Anyways, back on point. So the inner salesman decides to resurface and just carry on the conversation, thinking about those past events, and I tell her, well, I've had some run-ins with the cops before, and as long as you just stay calm and do whatever they ask and just explain yourself very easily, they usually let you off pretty easy. I should not have engaged. Now I'm going to have to interject and explain something really quick. If you've ever watched the first movie in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, you will understand exactly what I'm about to explain. Do you remember whenever Bilbo tried to take the ring from Frodo and kind of this monstrous, nasty snarl overcame him? Picture that. So she stood up.
eyes sunk into the back of her head. This dark shadow overcame them, and she said, "Buck up. I'm a chick and I'm dealing with this better than you." "All right, well, I'm going to go outside and have a cigarette. You boys have fun."
So the three of us had our little freak out and sat and tried to comprehend what had just happened. And of course we laugh and joke about it because we laugh in the face of danger. So our waiter comes back over and we talk to him more about the whole music bit, and she decides to grace us with her presence. And there's a little dialogue between her and the waiter about how she's got like $150 tab of just herself and she can't afford to pay it and this and that, and continued on for a good little bit. Details. So she finds a way to pay her tab and then diverts her attention back to us. She decided to put her shoes back on because, forgot to tell you this whole time, she wasn't wearing her shoes. Put her shoes on, grabbed her purse, and was just about to take off and decided to engage us one more time. "You know who I am. I'll be seeing you."
"All right, well, you boys have a good evening, and I'm going to go catch a cab and see if I can find somewhere else to party."
I don't think I have ever feared for my life so much. Well, I was half expected to go outside and see my truck just burst into flames. I guess that the moral of this story is don't ever engage in conversation with creepy old people. Just, you're gonna have a bad time. So we're gonna have more stories to come, hopefully sooner than later. I know this one took me a while to actually get off my ass and do it. But if you like the story, go ahead and click that subscribe button. You'll see me explain more stupid stuff and check out some of my past videos. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Don't know what my handles are, but they'll be in the description because I don't do social media very well. But like, subscribe, dislike, whatever, all that happy horse shit, and we'll see you next time.